It doesn't work?
No, we'll just have to use my webcam.
Actually, we can also go Instagram Live on my phone.
Oh, we're doing YouTube Live.
Oh, yeah. But people, like, we don't have a big crowd on YouTube.
We're doing the YouTube Live to record the whole thing
Yeah.
and save it so we can
Yeah.
clip it for later.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
we're going to go on Instagram Live to show the followers are on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I think we're almost set here. Is YouTube getting audio? And how do we know? Let's see.
Ooh, actually, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
if I'm at YouTube.
how are we doing audio? Like, do we have mics or something? Or?
Yeah, there's the mic right here.
Oh, okay.
Let me open up Discord. That worked. That works. Microphone. Chat. I think it works.
It works.
I think so.
Okay, perfect.
We'll need someone to hop on and then we'll try it out.
Alright. See if I can get this going.
You can put that down here on our level to get a different angle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Seems straight.
You want a beer?
Sure. Yeah, okay. And then you guys have
From the fridge?
You still have some?
Yeah. You can grab tea. Grab a Corona for each of us. Do I have a bottle over here? There's a bottle opener in one of these drawers.
Might as well drink it before it goes bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because beer tends to have that.
It's gonna be tough. I won't be able to see how this looks.
If you're doing Instagram Live, you got to do it vertical.
Oh, I have to do it like this.
Like
Like this?
No. Turn it sideways. That's on Instagram.
Oh, right.
You don't want people to have to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Oh, shit. That makes it worse.
Okay, the Discord's live. YouTube is streaming, and it's getting audio.
Perfect.
No one's in the call, but I mean, tonight you just wanted me to come on and chat with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We can just talk.
To be fair, I didn't promote this as much as I should have. I mean, be easy.
No, that's fine. The idea is just
Yeah, the idea is
You
just
wanna-
to put it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
like get some clips because I'm supposed to be your prodigy here on first time investor or new investor.
I guess, can I flip this camera? No. It's only that side, right?
No, you can flip it.
How do you...
Swipe up. No?
I thought you could flip it. Oh, this. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, dual camera. Oh, wait, we don't need dual, though.
Live. There we go.
Oh, it's a present 20s, actually. Okay.
Yeah, you can and hit the middle button there.
Yeah. I should get this on, right? Yeah. I should be on. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Start it. And you gotta come close.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my desk. Hey everyone, I'm Darren.
All right, guys. Perfect. Sounds good. All right, guys. So let's start off with this. Yeah, perfect. All right, guys. So today we're actually going to we're live right now. We're speaking to Darren here, who recently bought his first house, maybe January, December.
We closed on October.
Okay. Okay.
Moved in November. So this is
Perfect.
my first time, my first home.
Perfect. Yeah. So you've been in the house for a couple months now, and right away you want to do a duplex conversion.
Well, if you want to rewind a bit, we can just give some context. So like,
Perfect.
I've been working, not directly with you, but like almost a year, probably over a year now, helping some of your social media stuff and working with your marketing team.
Yeah.
My background's in marketing, and hanging around with you, with Taco, Manny, Aro, and pretty much the whole network at the live events and at some of the meetups and even just on our Discord on Grow.
Yeah. Well, you've been here since Grow we started, actually,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The whole time basically.
Part of getting the Discord set up and pretty much I'd say even in Taco, like I go way back with him. Probably not as long as he did.
Yeah, every time.
Although I'm probably sure I saw you when you're like, hey, hi,
Yeah.
something.
He always brings it up. It's good. It's good because it's like, how am I? 29, so like 3 decades now, give or take.
Yeah, and so I guess my thing was always I looked at first at home ownership as being something that was out of reach for me. I'm a millennial, and I got married and we were renting. And then kids came along, and that just pushed all my savings towards down payment and paying down debt. That just pushed it even further away. And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to own a home, let alone invest in real estate. And then just from talking to you guys and getting your opinions on pretty much every life decision that I had to make to like get to the next level, I think you guys pointed me in the right direction. Told me how I can do it and how to leverage what I have, how to just get creative with things. So
Which is good because we were there when you were looking at houses too. Like I remember being here, what was it, the summer give or take, and we were looking at a couple houses, what we can do with it.
Oh, yeah,
based
exactly.
on the pictures,
Yeah.
Obviously, we lost a couple of them, which are it is what it is. Things happen for a reason, but I think you landed a good property. But you're right because you've been through that whole process there, able to absorb that.
You guys
sort of
told me to jump, and I'm like, okay, I'll jump, and it worked. Got hooked up with a realtor in our network here, and pretty much from there, we were like figured out, okay, what budget can I work with? And I'm like, well, first off, let's discuss my goals. Is what he wanted to talk about. He's like, what do you really want? I'm like, I want a house for my family, but I also want to start investing. And like I see working in the real estate investing network, I work at Cabinets to Kitchens, so working around investors all the time. Like I want to do what they're doing. Like it just seems like the lifestyle I want. And so we sat down and looked at it, and it's like, okay, here's what we can do, and here's how we can get creative with it. Because at the time, my wife and I and our 2 kids were living with my in-laws, and at their home, and their home was completely paid off. They were mortgage free, and they both retired. And we figured that, okay, no matter what home we're gonna get, they're gonna come, and they'd be okay to come and live with us. We thought, okay, why don't we buy a house together? Or we got creative in this instance, and we figured they would gift us the down payment so that we can get a house. And then once we're in a house all together, then down the road we can thank them and get them back, but at least we get into the house.
Yeah. What is one strategy, a very common strategy people are doing nowadays, right? It's so hard for people to save up enough money that it's like they have to rely on their parents or in-laws or somebody there to help them out. Yeah. Right? Similar to my situation. Obviously I didn't have the money at first, and then my mother, and I, we refinanced our property, right? So now I'm part of our first property to use that funds to buy our second property there.
So yeah, I never quite understood that. Like, I guess until it was happening for me, because the idea was, all right, now we know what we can afford. Let's look for a house that fits for our family, and they were all like my in-laws and the wife. We were all kind of like, okay, let's find something that's move-in ready, and we're going to start our new life in a new home somewhere. So we're looking out west towards Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, even Guelph. At that time we were in Brampton, so it's like, okay, that's not a stretch, and I could probably still commute to work. So we're looking and we're finding some things, and around that time when we were going to showings, I'd show you like the listings and be like, hey, what can we do with this place? You know, what do you think of this? But I always like felt that there's nothing we could really do with like something that was nicely renovated or home we move into, and then it would be another how many years before I can actually start investing. And I know, like, the advice I always got was, okay, take care of my family first before I start like putting my money into other properties, because I've got kids right now. So I'm like, okay, let's open my mind a bit, and let's open our like what we want, and just see what else is out there. And then we started looking in the east end of the GTA, Durham region, so Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa. We even saw one in Bowmanville, and it was a monster house, huge. I think it was like 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, massive backyard. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is great for our family. But it was like 3 hours away from anything that I do, so like, that's not gonna work. And then we kind of narrowed down the criteria to, okay, we need something that can fit our family of 6, that has potential for us to add some value to, and in terms of like any sort of renovations, like something that maybe we can put an addition on, or something we can convert into a duplex, or something we could just modernize where it would add value, so that way we can use that value towards another investment.
Right.
And then one day I got a call from the wife, and she says, hey, I just went into an open house in Oshawa. I want to put an offer on it. I'm like, well, I haven't seen it yet. And she just sent me the pictures, and I'm like, I don't know. It looks like it needs a lot of work. And I think, I can't remember if I called AFTAP, my realtor, first, or if you were here, because I think you might have been, you were around the office that day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what do you think? What's your opinion? And you're like, okay, you can do this, you can do that, whatever. We were looking at pictures, but the pictures on like the listing online didn't do it justice at all, because they only showed the good parts of the house in the pictures. So
well, that's how they work, right? Show you the good parts, and you have to go in person to see some of the bad parts there.
So we put the offer down, and then we heard back that there was another offer that was more than us, but it just so happened that the seller was like the original owners. It was an elderly couple, and they moved into a retirement home, and they actually wanted to sell to a family. I mean, yes, primarily I'm looking for a family home, but I'm also looking to invest. So this kind of worked out. We got the deal, closed in October, moved in November, and I think like within the first 2 weeks, I asked you to come over and take a look at it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it was fairly quick. Yeah, it was fairly quick. I think it was in the fall, give or middle of October-ish, I think, somewhere around there.
Do you want to explain the house, since you know? I mean, I know the house.
You know the house. You know the house well.
Like,
what
we talked about and what we looked at.
You can explain a little bit about the house, and I can put in some details there that I recall.
Okay, so 3 stories. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So nice big primary bedroom, nice big primary bath. There's a 3-piece bathroom upstairs, and then the other bedrooms upstairs. Main floor's got an interesting layout. Like, it's not an open concept. It's a 35-year-old house.
Yeah.
And everything in there was original. Like, I'm talking old ass light fixtures, old like the original flooring, hardwood flooring. It looks like they kept everything well maintained.
Yeah.
but the looks were deceiving. It's got a decent sized backyard with a wood deck. The wood deck is seen better days, so that's got to go. But the one thing that rang the bells for me, and when I asked you for your opinion, I asked Mark for his opinion, unfinished basement. Mm-hmm. And when we looked at some of the video walkthrough I sent you guys, you're like, yeah, you can definitely do something there. So you came by originally and did some manual measurements, just some rough measurements. And you're like, okay, you can definitely do something here. And that's when we talked. Okay, so a staircase in the middle, it brings you downstairs. There was 2 tiny windows. I wouldn't call them windows. What do you call those tiny windows?
Honestly, it's builder windows at that point. When it was first built, they just put in whatever little windows they can, just to put some sort of natural light in there, right? But it was never meant to be livable, right?
No, so the original owners were from like an Oriental Asian background, and I guess their belief is like they never touch the basement. They don't go down there. They didn't. There's no signs that anyone had ever been down there. Mm-hmm. Maybe like there was a central vac down there. Those seemed original too, and maybe they used that. But it was.
No, it's fairly clean. Of all the basements I've seen, even in new builds, it's like it was at that level. It was like nobody's ever touched it.
It was weird.
It had like insulation on the wall there.
It had like half insulated, and you could see that some of it was like deteriorating. Like.
But overall, like it's fairly good. Most people would use it as storage, but it was pretty empty at that point, right?
Yeah, you can tell they didn't use it. So it was cool because we got a sense of everything. So the staircase in the middle, right behind the staircase was the furnace and hot water tank, and then we got to talking ideas. So, my goal was, okay, can we turn this house into a duplex? Mm-hmm. Can we live upstairs, rent out the basement? Can we live upstairs and our parents move in with us downstairs? Like we can have them with us, but they have their own unit, and I start my life with my family upstairs, or what can we do? So I got to listing off every single feature I've ever heard you guys talk about in terms of renovating for an investment property. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about material selections. Let's talk about the layout. Let's talk about like any retrofits or upgrades or anything like that. Let's talk about rebates and all that. And I had no idea what I was talking about. I was just using all the ring words, right? Yeah. So you kind of gave me a good sense of, okay, well, here's a layout that could work, and we kind of just talked about it walking around, and then Zaina from your team, she put it all to paper as we're walking around, and like just like that, like she turns her iPad around and like there's a whole floor plan already sketched out. I'm like, no way, like that was a cool experience.
And that's the way it works, right? Yeah. We go on site, we try to, and this was before the 3D scan, of course. It was like a few
This
months,
is a few weeks.
Months. Yeah.
I think like a month or two before you got your scanner.
Yeah. So then it was one of our last projects we did by hand. But the idea was at that time, we go in there, we measure, and then as quickly as she does it, by the time we finish talking, we get some sort of preliminary on iPad, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's not to scale, which we figured out while we were developing the drawings that we had to kind of shift a couple things.
Stuff. Yeah.
We had.
Because we went for lunch after, and during lunch is when you're actually looking at the measurements and moving stuff around.
Yeah. Which again, like it's goes from sketches to actual plans. It's like a whole jump right there. Right, especially when you're working with existing structures, right? Mm-hmm. We had the existing structural posts that we were working with, right? Which, again, in a lot of these buildings,
it
becomes very awkward.
Nail it down, I think when we went for lunch, we talked over, and we thought that, okay, it looks like we can do 2-bedroom unit down here, separate entrance, an exterior entrance to the basement. Some egress windows as well in the bedrooms. Like we can make this a legal second apartment.
Yep.
In the basement, and then that's when I got thinking with it, and then from there, you were going to work on the drawings, and then I started doing all sorts of research and asking everyone all sorts of questions, especially in Grow. I was just messaging around like everyone. And then I think that's when I looked up the Greener Homes grant, or the home efficiency rebates, the HER Plus from Enbridge and the government, and it was cool to see that, okay, here's all these rebates for any retrofits. So, okay, well, the money I have saved towards this duplex conversion, I don't want to waste it all on all these upgrades and only get a little bit back from rebates. But a lot of the stuff definitely needed to be done, and I don't know, I'm a first-time home buyer. The house windows were old and not efficient. The furnace was junk. The AC, it was like, when metal gets old and it starts to turn green, like you see on those old
like rusted
those government buildings, how the roofs are all green.
I think so.
Yeah, like they weren't originally green. Like that's what this furnace did. Like
Jeez.
You can see, like on one side it's still the original color, and then
so it's original AC.
Yeah. It was old school. I've never seen one like that, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should consider this. And then I think it was you or Taco who said, they have a loan program too. So then I did all that research and like, okay, found it out. So they're like, first thing, regardless, you're going to need a home energy audit. I'm like, oh, I know an energy auditor in Grow Network.
Yeah.
And I ended up booking like an energy auditor local to Oshawa, and they came in, did the whole walkthrough, had the thermal gun, did the blower door test. And pretty much as he was doing all the testing, he was telling me right away, like, okay, these windows, no good, man. Like, you can just put your hand here and then put your hand here. You can feel how it's so much colder. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then we popped our heads in the attic, and he said, okay, look up pictures of like an attic with like a R60 value or whatever. And like, I'm like, okay, so there's a big difference there. And like, you know what? Around that time, it was getting cold in the middle of the winter. I'm like, yeah, it's freezing in my bedroom, but like this bedroom is fine, and all these things just started to make sense. Like, oh, maybe I should do all of these, and because I can use the Greener Homes loan, so that was $40,000, 10 years to pay it back, interest free from the government. So I'm like, okay, it doesn't hurt to apply. I just have to get all quotes. So insulation, windows. Heat pump, what else was there? Air sealing or draft proofing. Missing a big one here. Oh, and then in the basement where I could also do is insulating the basement walls and the floor.
Right.
Which is one thing that we're doing in the basement project too. So quotes for all those, submitted it, and next day is when they announced that they're canceling the program. But it was also the same day that I got the email saying, yeah, you're approved for the loan. Go ahead, get the work done, do your final energy audit, and then we'll send you your loan money, and then we'll send you the rebates a little bit later.
Yeah.
So,
which is perfect, because what people struggle with is the financing of the project.
Yeah, right? I wouldn't have been able to do any of that. Because like Windows is a lot of money. I got 3 quotes. I got a quote from a company that we use for my day job, and I'm like, okay, this is a good quote. That's like in the $20,000 range. Like, okay, that's a pill I can swallow. Next quote was a company that's got these like their patented like stronger windows, Nordic windows, and their RevoCell is their technology, and they do Energy Star most efficient windows, triple pane glass. I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds fancy. Yeah. The sales guy, he kind of talked me through it. I think the one big plus with them was their warranty. It's just like an OBS warranty. I believe in warranties from other products that I use. I mean, in the tech and just like electronics, I make sure, and I'm brown, I use my warranties, man. But talking to the construction people, like even Taco, we would banter about it, and he's like, okay, but like, do you think that 25 years from now, if you call them for the warranty, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we still make those, so we'll come and service it right now, or they'll probably be like, oh no, we have new technology. I don't know. He's skeptical. Yeah. Third quote I got for Windows was like $60,000 from Magic. And they have some cool freaking windows.
No, I see other commercials all the time. Yeah.
Like the crankless thing, that's cool. The retractable screen. I'm like, this is great. But when they got to the price, I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. It's my first home. All the money I have left is going towards the basement rental. Like, even if I used the government loan and got the rebates, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The way they structure those, they're like, okay, we put you on a low monthly payment, so that when your mortgage is up for renewal, you just absorb it into your mortgage. That's how most people afford those. That's what the sales guy was saying. Like, that sounds great, but I want to do other stuff when it comes time to refinance. I want to use my equity into different ventures. So we ended up going with Nordic in the middle there, and they're going to be installing on Monday.
This Monday. Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Like a turnaround time of first they said 7 weeks for manufacture, and then they called me the next day, said 5 weeks, and then 2 weeks passed, and then they're like, okay, we're ready to install.
That's really good, actually.
So I'll update you on how those turn
Yeah,
out.
because that definitely affects the rebate, the energy efficiency of the house.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, because the way I believe, because when you first got the report, I think I took a quick look at that.
Yeah.
And they divided up every section of it, saying like,
and
you know, what's the
they
highest.
give you an overall energy score, right?
Exactly.
And they said, okay, this is where I am. This is where a typical new build is, and this is the potential where you can get it down to.
Yeah.
I mean, that potential included also going with solar panels and like, you know, all the top of the line like retrofits. I'm just probably looking for the ones that are realistic, I guess.
No, 100%. But I love the fact that they broke it down into like different areas, like basement, attic, windows, whichever it is, whichever category you need to fix.
Yeah.
They told you that, and it's not playing a guessing game, right? So that's what I appreciate about that side of the energy auditor stuff.
Yeah. So that's all going on in the background, and then we kind of came up with a floor plan that we agreed on in terms of sketches, and you wanted to I think we were ready to submit for permits, but you'd asked them first, like.
Well, before we go there, I want to brush up a little bit on the rebate stuff a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Other than that, did you see any other rebates or loans or something that can help you with that?
On top of the federal government, like the HER Plus program, the municipalities, I found out, also have like top-ups on top of that. So in Durham region, there's the Durham Greener Homes, and if you're doing, I can't remember the wording exactly, but if you're doing deep retrofits, like if you're doing a lot of stuff, then that's like their biggest incentive. So I looked that up, and basically their process, you go on the website, they scheduled a Zoom call to talk about, you know, all the different options, and you know, the attendant that I had the Zoom call with, like, even told me that there's like the goal is really just to cut down on gas usage. Yeah. So they're suggesting, instead of a hot water tank, get a heat pump hot water tank, and I'm like, I've never even heard of one of those. But basically, it's like a heat pump on top of your hot water tank, inside your house, and it's just like, it's cool because in the summertime, it's heating your water and it's cooling. It's cooling your like the room that it's in, or like reverse kind of thing. So it's like, it's an interesting concept, but I mean, with 6 people in the house, I think I'd rather go the route of a tankless gas hot water tank, or hot water heater rather, just so we can have constant, like,
you always have hot water.
Especially because I'm going to be living in this house, whether it's tenants or family that end up taking the basement unit. Like, I would like my hot showers.
100%. And that's a struggle when you have a lot of people in the same household. They don't realize the hot water tank may not be enough. Right? With my triplex I did about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, I have 40 gallon, which is the norm.
And but that's not enough.
It's not enough. I have to increase it to 60 gallons.
And is that enough?
Well, it's at the bare minimum. But for triplex, it's like, 60 gallons should be enough, assuming 20, right?
So a plumber I spoke to, and I told him the plan for turning our basement into a second unit. They saw our tank and they're like, oh yeah, you need a bigger tank. And I'm like, I asked them their opinion on tankless. Tankless, they're saying that, I mean, pros and cons, you'll have to service it once a year. I mean, according to the manufacturers, you have to service it once a year. It's probably a good idea to do that. But you can just get away with a bigger tank, and you'll still be just as happy. So that's why I wondered about the 60 gallon. And the problem with that too is it takes up room.
That's another thing.
In my new basement apartment, which is going to be tight as it is. I'd like to have as much space as possible. So the idea with the tankless is it should take up less space, and we can kind of shrink a utility room there, which you drew out for me.
Yeah.
So.
Which is like pros and cons. Like you go by the traditional hot water tank, it's on gas, it's oversized. You might not have enough water depending on your, how many occupants you have in the building. Versus like the tankless one, it's it's the size of like electrical panel, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's just tiny.
Yeah, it's installed to the wall.
Yeah.
Easy, and it's on electrical, right? So.
Do those have to get vented out?
Not that I'm aware of, but we should be triple checking just to be sure, right?
There is a vent right now for my current hot water tank. So.
Yeah, but that's because it's on part of the furnace system there, or sorry, the
No,
oil.
Oh,
It's got
okay.
vent out, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, in terms of the tankless stuff, yeah, it doesn't really have to be too much there, but the benefit is definitely the space, because the way I had my structure, I removed my furnace. I removed my furnace because we were talking about that too, right? It's either doing some heat pumps down there or just making it all like furnace.
Oh yeah, because
Right.
you told me if we go heat pump, we could remove all the ducting in the basement, because right now unfinished, the ceiling's exposed, and then we get some more ceiling height. We didn't have to worry about bulkheads or anything. So I got all antsy and giddy about that. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. But then in doing the research too, I saw that like heat pumps are only good to a certain temperature, and then after that, you're going to need something in addition to heat. So the option could be baseboard heaters, which again, I mean, I want this to be a comfortable home, but I also want it to be nice, because like really nice, because this is going to be my home for the foreseeable future. So wasn't a fan of baseboard heaters.
No.
The other option was, okay, leave the furnace, but if you get like the hybrid system where it's a heat pump that does majority of the work, and then when it gets too cold, your furnace will kick on. That way the heat pump is ducted like around the house. That works, and that's actually included as what's acceptable for rebates in the BGR Plus program.
That's good to know,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, if they allow hybrids, it's a lot better then.
Sorry, not hybrid like gas electric, hybrid in terms of with your furnace.
Oh, I see what you
like ducted.
Okay,
ducted
okay.
heat
That makes
pump.
more, yeah, well,
Yeah.
that makes more sense then at that point.
And then so on the Durham program, the municipal program where they top up the rebates, went through, talked about all the options, and then we closed with, but the program's fully subscribed for this year, so you're gonna have to come back in March, and we'll set up another Zoom call and see what the new program is for 2024.
All right, so-
I've been checking the website, haven't seen anything yet. She did tell me that this year's program is going to be even stricter. Like they want people to go completely off of gas.
Right. Which is tough when people want to keep their furnace, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the only way to kind of keep
Yeah,
it.
like I already have the electric stove upstairs. I put an electric stove downstairs. But the furnace is probably the one thing I need gas.
Right. Which is like, it's good and bad. So what a lot of people are doing now is like trying to remove the gas, right? Like obviously the furnace and everything. But once they do that and they put electric stove, now they're adding more electrical load to the existing building.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's kind of like, okay, you got rid of gas, but now you're made your electric bill a little bit higher.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And
depends.
if the whole region switches to electric,
yeah.
that's more. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but I
Yeah.
assume it's going to put more demand on it. And
Yeah, the
there's
transformer outside, like
Yeah.
giant green box people see but don't care, right? That definitely has to be updated or upgraded at that point,
Okay.
right? Because that's what supplies the amount of power to each house,
Yeah.
right? So,
I see it happening in the future, like everything
Oh,
going
100%.
electric. But
yeah.
yeah, not on my plans or not on my radar at all for my project here.
It's not a thing that I wouldn't say care about, but it's not right now a priority.
Yeah.
Next 5-10 years, it's not really a priority at that point.
So after considering all the options, so we decided windows, attic insulation, the basement insulation, and the basement floor insulation, as well as the draft proofing and like sealing all the holes in the house,
Yeah.
and then heat pump, which we'll also do as part of the basement right now. We got all the quotes for that, looked at the budget. We're like, okay, after spending all the money on all of this, take away all the rebate money we get left, plus the government grant, the government loan for up to 40,000, which we were approved for.
When you say government loan, you mean the municipality or you mean the federal?
The federal loan, we're covered. So like we pretty much upgrade the home, and we kind of like, not that we net zero, but at least it doesn't take away from the budget we had put aside for the duplex conversion.
Right.
So
well, if you can give us a little bit of high level numbers, because the amount of effort I've seen you put into doing the rebates and all this research and all the work, right? Yeah. Is it like, maybe some people are going to misunderstand, like, do you only get 10% back, 20% back? We don't know.
No, so it varies on each retrofit, right? So like the windows, it's a $40,000 project.
Okay.
I think I can get up to 10,000 back.
Okay.
And then insulation, like for the attic, cost about $3,000, and you can get like 1,200 back, and like so each one.
But different percentage on different stuff, right?
Yeah.
But overall, it seems like you got maybe 70-80% of your money back.
And doesn't default to like the full amount back. It default, like they'll come and do the energy audit and see how much you improved, and then if you improved this percentage bracket, then you'll get the full rebate. If you only improved it a little bit, you'll get this much back. But the good thing is, by having everything in on paper, like saying my attic installation guy gave me the quote, said they're going to bring it up to R60. I got my invoice now that says they added 18 inches on top of what was previously in my attic, and then they added the baffles or waffles or the side things for the vent, the soffit vents. Yeah. That's all in the paper, and then the auditor will look at it, and then he'll go to he or she will pop their head in there, like, okay, it looks good to me. So then that one I will qualify for full rebate. If they pop, I did my research and saw that people they said they got one thing, but when they did their audit, they're like, no, this isn't good enough. They gave them a chance to, like, okay, now you can call these contractors back, get them to come and fix it. And like, hey, you told me you did R60 for my attic. They're telling me right now it's not. So they came back, they made it right, and then they had to get another energy audit, which you have to pay for, by the way.
So you have to pay it for twice if the contractors mess up.
Yeah.
So at that point, then it's maybe best, like, try to, and again, it depends on the payment structure from the contractor. Maybe not make the full payment, or like, I don't know, 50% down, 50%, I don't know, completion. And they only get a 50 if, the auditor comes back positive. Otherwise, you're out of cash.
It's definitely a lot to manage for the homeowner who doesn't know what it is that they're looking for.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But they want to try to be protective as much as they can in terms of their funds. Because now you're making them pay twice for energy auditor that they only should pay once, or at least direct that bill directly back to the contractor.
And I think the contractors that I chose for the home energy retrofits, part of me choosing them wasn't necessarily price shopping. It was looking at their reviews, and any reviews that actually mentioned the greener homes or HER Plus, and saying, yeah, we use them for our rebates. And so like that's actually why I chose Nordic for the windows. The salesperson was telling me, like, before I even mentioned that I was interested, he was already telling me, like, this is the process we do. We actually will get you the home energy audit, and they'll do. I'm like, well, okay, I already got it. And then he's like, I guarantee you, if you give them our quote, you'll get the approved for the loan the next day. I didn't believe it. Looked at their reviews, and I'm like, okay, they've got a lot of reviews of people doing this, and he wasn't bullshitting. He was right. Yeah.
Which is good, because you have to do your homework. Like, everybody's got to do their homework to make sure, like, you want to trust the system, but you also want to verify it yourself, right? If it makes sense. But it's good that you actually did that. You went that further step to kind of see the Google reviews, what people are saying about that, and if they mention that key word, right, the greener homes.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what we need to be looking for, which is tough, because some people just trust, a friend of a friend, or referrals, or their local realtors, or whatever.
I actually had another contractor in my house at the time who quoted me on some of these retrofits, but I ended up hiring him not for any of those, but just to do some drywall patchwork for me, and to the shower in the master bath was had a little leak that was dripping through the ceiling below, so he just plugged up or like added all the sealant in the shower just to like figure it out. It was just like the grout was really cracked in one spot and it was leaking through.
Right.
I don't know what kind of shower pan was under there or nothing, but we just did a patch job because I said, you know what, I've got the basement project I want to do. Just let me do what you got to do to fix my shower. Temporarily fix the drywall on the ceiling below, and then down the road after this basement's done, I'll look at renovating the bathroom and making it nice.
Yeah.
Had him in there doing all these jobs, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing windows? I can do the windows. Oh, you're doing insulation? I can do your insulation. Oh, you're doing this? I've got an HVAC guy that can do that for you." And they wanted to do everything, but I'm like, okay, this program, in order to get the rebates, you have to, I need everything on paper in a quote. I need it like formal. I need not just your quote. Here's my number for doing all this work. I need to know the model number, the specs, they even need the SKU and all of that.
They want to be as detailed as possible
in order for them to approve it. I think it's easier to get approved for the grants than it is the loan. The loan itself, you need every single bit of information as well. It was almost like applying for the mortgage for the house, like all the info I had to get together for the Greener Homes loan. And I'm like, this isn't even it's a significant amount because it's going to help me be able to do it, but it's like in comparison to how much I just got approved for the house, it was a thorough process.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. Obviously, I wouldn't say free money, all of it, but still enough money that makes you want to work for it, right?
Yeah.
Which is a good amount, right? Like for me, I didn't really look into that, which I completely regret because I put heat pumps, I put everything. The house was completely gutted.
If you're gonna do that, you may as well let the government
I should just
pay
done
for
that.
it up front.
Yeah, I should that. Which again, we all live and learn on that part, right? I spent a good amount of money on the energy efficiency of that house. I just never got anything back because of that.
So there's two other sources of, I guess, money that could help me with the basement project.
Okay, so you have the rebates, you have the federal, you have the municipality.
Yeah, so then
you have two more.
Two more. So then the next thing I saw from my research online is there's the multi-generational homes grant.
Oh yes.
So with the idea that people are moving back home with their parents, or parents are moving in with their kids. The idea is okay, if you're going to renovate your home to accommodate family members, immediate family members that are elderly or that need your care, kind of thing, you can get a tax credit. Now, my interpretation of it is that it's up to $50,000 qualifies you for a certain amount of a tax break. A tax break on your annual taxes. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna already be making a second unit, and it specifies it has to be a second unit. So an ADU, like a backyard suite, or it just has to be completely self-contained, separate unit.
Now the key word here now I want to look at is if it's legal second unit or
legal second unit.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So they want to make sure that it's actually approved by the city first.
Yeah.
And that's part of their process.
It has to be acknowledged as a second unit. And that one is essentially, you got to keep your receipts, and then I don't know what you actually have to do with the receipts in terms of material and contractors or labor costs. I don't know if when you're doing your taxes that you have to hand it in with that, or I just think you need to have it in case you get audited. But basically, keep all the receipts for when you're building your second unit, if it's going to be used by your parents or someone that's a dependent of yours as an addition to your home. So okay, cool. This makes a lot of sense because now my in-laws, now they can have their their space in our home, so they're still close to us. They're still close to their grandkids. And since we're moving from Brampton to Oshawa, it made a lot of sense that we are close because it's a new city for all of us. If they got a place nearby, sure, we would have to go out in the community and get familiar with the area, but nothing beats being together, especially because I couldn't have had a better situation, but they pretty much provide childcare for me too. So my wife and I can both go to work, and the kids are with their grandparents pretty much from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6.
Which is good. I think that's what a lot of people are starting to do now with how tough it is out there and how expensive it is. It's like, what was it, Hamilton? Some people were telling me it's like $1,800 for a 1-bedroom, right? $2,000 or more for 2-bedroom. It just gets higher and higher. It's never gone down. So we're going to see a lot more of that common stuff.
I think I missed one of the other major reasons why we chose this house, because when we were, like I said, I didn't see the house before saying let's put the offer in, but so Aftab, the realtor, Mark, the contractor, yourself, my architectural designer, the whole team is like falling together. The you know, I was working with a couple mortgage agents to find, you know, the best option for us too, and everyone was in agreement that okay, look in your neighborhood, what has sold recently, and what did they sell at, and we saw that a lot of the houses in the neighborhood had very similar layouts, very similar square footage, pretty much like, you know, minor differences. So we found the one house on our street that sold recently with almost the exact same layout, but it was nicely modernized, new kitchen, finished basement, well maintained, probably recently upgraded with all of that, and it sold for $300,000 more than what we got this house, or like, you know, what offer we put in on this house and the offer that we got it at. So the way I understand it is that could potentially be your after renovation value of the home, if you can at least make it up to that standard or more.
Yeah, and it's a common thing we tell some of the newer investors that come into the marketplace. They're looking to buy a house, you know, trying to see, you know, obviously renovations, the way it's so high up in cost. I don't tell them to really look at that. I tell them to look at the after renovation value. Look at the area, similar to what you did, right? You looked at the area, you saw somebody has similar house. They had newer renovations. Because you don't know how much they spend in renovations. You'll never find out.
No.
Right? But at least you can compare it to yours.
Yeah.
If you buy, let's say, at $700,000, they had it at $1 million. Again, I'm giving rough numbers here. Theirs is $300,000 more, but if you put in $150,000 in your rental costs, you're still winning because you just made $150,000 afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that's what one thing I talked to you about is like, okay, how much do you think it would cost to finish a basement and modernize this house? I already know I can get a great price on kitchens because I work at cabinets to kitchens.
Yeah.
And all the interior finishing material, like it's just not even a plug. That's just like me knowing that, hey, okay, I know who we get everything from. Like I know the prices. There's no competing, right? Like it's literally the supply chain, the supply stuff is all done, and Grow Network like lessons from the Discord lives that I've seen. It's like, okay, I already know how to pick the right contractor for me. I mean, I already know how to vet the contractors. I already know that, okay, you give me your price for labor because I'm supplying everything.
Exactly.
And then that's how we're able to pick all the different trades for the reno. So it's like, okay, we can probably get this done for way less than the $300 difference to make it comparable.
Oh, 100%. Right? It's all about the connections there too,
Yeah.
right? Like you'll have, and this is where even Taco mentions too, was the quotes are all over the place. There's not two quotes that you see that are going to be the same thing. Because contractors break it down differently, they price things differently. It's all over the place. You never know what it is. The one thing you can rely on is the materials in that case.
I love the quotes where it's, you know, just a Word document where they have the price and they say just basement renovation and then a whole bunch of like terms and conditions. But I think just being the homeowner or being like the first time, you know, me doing a project like this, I appreciated seeing the quotes where it's like broken down line items. So like, this is, you know, labor for the framing, labor for this, labor to get this signed off and inspected, like, or sorry, cost to get this signed off from an inspector, and like those broken down ones. Yeah, I appreciate it more than just going to the guy that was guesstimating and just giving me a price. Because one of the quotes even, okay, again, I know how much kitchens cost. And I know how much kitchens cost to install because that's what I do in my day job. I call and I schedule these things. But to have this one contractor like who did line item everything, it's like, how are you telling me that the kitchen is going to cost the same as the bathroom to install? And like it was a big number. I'm like, I understand the bathroom being very expensive, and that's going to definitely be a lot of work. But we pump out kitchens and install kitchens with one guy, like. You know, he does 1 to 2 a day. Like, how do you think it's going to be that much for a basement apartment. I'm not planning an extravagant kitchen. So I was able to use what I know, show it to you guys, a couple people in the Discord, and get their opinions and narrow it down.
Yeah.
I think now all we're waiting for is permits. Uh-oh. Did the stage stop?
It just stopped, yeah.
YouTube is still going. Instagram's still going.
Yeah, so Instagram's still going, YouTube's still going.
Yeah. Maybe I had a cool mentor, right? Or someone that I could bug all the time, every day when I have silly questions.
This guy.
Who canceled the stage?
Oh.
Let's start it back.
Oh, somebody canceled? Okay. So many people that have control. Wait, I don't even think you can restart this. If you go back to events, can you reset that? Nope, it goes straight to the... Okay. I guess continue. I guess start a stage. I guess we have to start a new one. Yeah. Me too, buddy.
Where in the world are you, Taco?
All right, there we go. Oh, there's Sydney. There we go.
Yeah, but now we don't have a video. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Where were we? Bathroom renovation,
so pretty
construction
much
costs. Yeah.
Me figuring it all out because I had people to lean on, and so we picked all that. Now we're at the point of permits.
Yeah.
So we took your original drawing, the floor plan. I loved it. It was great. We had a side entrance that we're gonna add, stairs down the side of the house. We're gonna just dig that in, put a nice wide door, like a wide door with a side light that opens.
Yeah.
Perfect. Come on in. You have a closet on one side and like a bench or like a hallway tree kind of thing built into the other side. And then that kind of hides as you come around. Then it's a nice open living dining area / kitchen. Nice open concept for a basement. Make it as open as we can. We'd want to put a nice wide window in there too to get natural light. Since there's nothing else that's not really on that side of that house. Staircase still in the middle, utility room where the furnace is, and the hot water tankless we'll have in there too. Some understairs storage. The plan was to fire rate all around there, but to still have access under the stairs so that space isn't wasted. I'm like, cool. Kitchen with a stove, dishwasher, and then we're gonna build the washer dryer into the kitchen too, just down on the end. Have a nice long countertop so that on one end of the kitchen where the washer dryer would be, you can still fold clothes or stuff on that end. But just made sense to keep it all there. Coming around the stairs, we had bedroom number 1, and then bedroom number 2, and then ending with one washroom that is like a Jack and Jill style off of the one bedroom, but accessible from the living area.
Yeah.
I think it made sense that it's a nice flow all around, and that
you didn't have to be in your the master bedroom and go all the way around to get to the bathroom, right?
To the bathroom or like laundry. It's still at the end of the kitchen towards the bedroom, so that was kind of good too. And then like the egress windows in both bedrooms, the positioning made sense, so that way we could do that and make it 2 bedrooms, because originally I think it was supposed to be just 1 bedroom and like a den / like workroom or office kind of thing, or storage room. But we're like, if we can do the 2 bedrooms like that would be amazing. And you did the math and you got all, you checked all the what are they, bylaws or
the building code stuff.
Building
right?
codes.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just trying to make sure that it meets the minimum room size, the window size, and everything else involved in between, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the confusion with some people. They seem to forget what the room sizes are, right? They walk into an open space and they're like, oh, I can fit in 5 bedrooms here, or whichever amount.
I've been renting for years before, man, and there was some stuff that I don't know how it passed as rentable.
Yeah.
But I was happy that this is something that, you know, I'm imagining it. Like, I would rent here, I would live here. This is great. Like,
well, that's ideal, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the basement apartments we're doing now is like we're trying to make sure they don't feel like the dungeon type, like you know, back in the, you know, what was it, early mid 2000s, give or take. People were doing that. They were keeping the windows as small as possible, and it was always like a dungeon feeling, not enough natural light.
So my last apartment before moving back in, or moving in with my wife's in-laws, or my wife's parents, that one was a 2-bedroom basement apartment, and there were no windows. Just the bedroom had a window that was, I guess, an egress window. I ain't fitting that through that window, but like the way you measured it, you showed me, we visualized it. I'm like, this is great. Like, this is a pretty sweet unit. Heck, if we didn't have kids, we bought this house, we'd probably move downstairs and rent the upstairs out to someone and get a little more.
100%. Yeah, it is another strategy two people are doing.
So you submitted the drawings, and so to me, first time going through this process and being CC'd on the emails, would you say that was our first roadblock when they came back and said, you're going to need this and this?
Yeah, so obviously different cities have different requirements, right? And we're no longer at the time of permits back then where they would accept, let's say, a basement drawing and that's it.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember even back in 2017, we just did like a basement drawing, got it approved, simple, standard.
And you did tell me that you told me that I don't know if the city will come back and say that they need anything else. Like, we could probably just send them this. It's pretty detailed. We had all the info. But you told me not to, or you told me to expect that maybe they'll ask for the whole house.
Yeah, and that's how, now we're seeing a lot of cities are pushing more, because obviously they don't have any of the original files, or they got lost, or they never received it from the original builder.
Yep.
That are looking for the latest information about your house.
So the two things they came back to us with was the drawings for the whole house.
Yes.
And a site alteration permit, which we would need to do first.
Yes.
So the site alteration permit, I had no idea what that was, but you explained it to me, and that's because we're changing pretty much what's at the site.
Yeah.
So from what it was originally, so the city wanted the legal land survey. Like, you're the city, don't you already have that? And then from their website, you sent me there. You said, okay, this is the stuff you're going to need. So we did the request to search for the documents. And that was a waste, because it's just a fee to say that, yes, we have a document. And then the next fee was to get that document. And literally, it was the hand-drawing original, like, community plan with all the lots. Yeah. I'm like, great, that didn't really say much to me.
Which is tough, because some cities have interactive maps that are as detailed. Like Hamilton, it does have the interactive map that we are allowed to use that instead of going through that route that we did. Right.
I guess I don't know if it's because Oshawa or Durham region is newer, or there's not a lot of people.
Different standards. That's it.
Maybe there's not a lot of investors out there, or maybe there's not a lot of developments out there that maybe they're just not as up to date as some cities that are rapidly growing.
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing in my I guess in my future plans. Maybe I should look at investing out there and get in early.
Yeah.
So we got that. Was it difficult for you to do the drawings that you needed for the site alteration permit, or
not necessarily? We already had the drawings for the basement walkout.
Yeah,
it was just popping into the survey. It wasn't as difficult there. It was just more of to me personally, it was more of an annoyance and an extra step, an unnecessary extra step, because all we're doing is digging a hole and putting like a walkout.
Yeah.
Which is already structurally stamped by an engineer already.
Yeah.
Right? It's just formalities at that point.
So that's when you came back to my house, and now at this point you have your radar, sonar, your scanner. What technology is it?
So it's like it's a 3D scanning program.
Yeah.
Right? It's a handheld one that we're actually just spending like less than 20 minutes. Right? We were there. I scanned it. Everything.
Yeah. You literally you came. You gave me the play-by-play. Like, okay, just we're gonna walk through, like, kind of like we're making one of those real estate videos where you're gonna walk through every room just continuously.
Yeah.
without like trying. The more we stop, the slower it's going to take to process it.
Yeah.
And it's just this like this ball.
Yeah, it's literally it's yay size,
yeah,
orange, and it goes like 360 around, right?
Yeah.
So that's our new way of measuring everything. Like I keep saying measuring, but we're really scanning the whole building.
Scanning everything,
right?
But it gives you like a gyroscopic look around,
yeah,
and it knows what did it tell you, because it told you stuff that you weren't able to get on the drawing originally. So like where all the plumbing is, where all the wiring is, every sort of like blade. It doesn't tell you like every blade of grass outside. Or
it can if we go that detailed, right? But I think the biggest pro with this technology is that the things that was annoying to measure or took too long to measure is now part of that whole scanning process. Like for example, we had a project a while back that it had an awkward, boiler system. The pipes were coming all over the place, right? And it was definitely going to affect the room size requirements that we were trying to have like 2 bedrooms or a bedroom and storage room, right? And we spent a lot of time trying to measure every single pipe that goes every other way. So instead of spending like half an hour doing that, which...
So I definitely think the one benefit that really allowed us to give the city the answers they needed was you knew all the grading of the backyard and all on the sides of my lot, because they were concerned that they don't want us to touch the grading within a certain distance from the property line.
Yeah.
And you're like, perfect, because I know exactly how much we're going to use, and you had it all on the drawings too. And then they even came back to us saying, oh, your driveway is not wide enough in the drawings, but you rebutted that that's the original driveway. That's not even part of our plans. And they're like, okay, just adjust it. And then the site alteration permit was no problem. We got it.
No, it literally was not the problem there. It was just more, again, more paperwork to do on their side. And yeah, it's fairly simple. We submitted and got the approvals, I think, less than a week or something.
Perfect.
Right? And then we sent it back to the city.
Yeah, so then back to the city for now. What kind of permit is the permit we need now is for the basement?
It's just a building permit.
Building permit.
So building permit, so we got the site alteration permit, which this is how I classify it. Like the building permit is the main one. Yeah. And then like the site alteration is like a sub permit. Okay. Right? So we got the sub permits that we can give it to the main permit there.
So the building permit now, they needed a couple things to go along with it. So the drawings for the whole house, every floor. They needed
the elevations.
The elevations.
Right, the building section, the site
plan.
And
then from your engineer, you needed more explanations on like how that window would support the load of my house.
Yeah, so when a window gets to a certain size, which I believe is 4 feet wide, now you're affecting like the structural integrity of that wall, right? So definitely an engineer has to kind of size it up properly and then send it back to the city with, it can support it based on their calculations.
And he said that's the case?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Because let's say they double or triple checked it, your engineer, and he said, you know what, it's not going to work. In that case, the reason we opted to do one wide window is because, as you mentioned, the more hole it was Taco that mentioned, the more holes you cutting into your exterior wall, the higher your cost is going to be. So if you could fit one big window, do one big window instead of doing 2 little windows.
Which makes sense. Like that, again, it's a different point of view, right? Adding another window to a drawing is like 2 seconds for us versus actually doing the work, which he's done plenty of that.
Would that be the solution then, if it was too wide? Is that I'd have to split it into 2 separate windows with like some sort of column in the middle?
Well, yeah, you just have to separate them with a good amount of like distance between it. Because some people are like, "Hey, Henry, let's just separate them by like 4 inches." Yeah. Well, that doesn't work because we need some sort of bearing for the new lintel above it, right? So we get them about a feet, maybe a little bit more, give or take. But yeah, so the rule of thumb there, which again, we're all learning as much as we keep doing these type of projects. We're learning from every point of view, right? I didn't know about that whole, it costs more to add more windows than doing bigger and less.
And then the other thing that I learned from you guys was that the more angles I'm adding onto my walls, the more corners.
Yeah, the more corners.
I'm adding, the more like the framing, more drywall, more plaster, more labor. So ideally, if we could run walls for long, and then rather than making every sort of little angle and bend for a wall. Because towards the front of my house, there's like my front entrance on the ground floor, and then there's a room here with a bay window. Or not necessarily a bay window, but it's like the bay shape. That goes all the way downstairs. But for some reason in the basement, it's like, it's not much that it actually pushes out in that like bay shape.
Right.
So we're like, okay, do I need that like not even 2 inches in where the, you know,
the shape
the
is
concrete
like that?
wall is like that, or can I just wall it straight? And I'm okay with walling it straight if that means it's going to save a ton of money instead of
framing it,
adding more corners.
No, 100%. And those are little tips and tricks that, you know, Taco knows that we can definitely kind of apply to every project, and at least keep in mind when we're reviewing the drawings, right? The easier we make it, the faster the contractors can do it, and the cheaper the whole project's going to be, right? So I think it's a win-win-win in that case.
I think so. I think it just makes more sense because it's not like I can put any furniture up against there.
No, it's an awkward. I honestly don't know why they sanded it all the way down. They should have just kept a bay window at that point. Right. But,
exactly.
But no, it's good that we're doing it that way.
So there's one other thing that was needed before we can say we've given them everything for permits. Was they wanted and this is something he said you haven't seen elsewhere. It's just Durham region or Oshawa in particular. They wanted to see plumbing drawings or the plumbing.
Yeah. So how it usually works is that small residential projects like a duplex doesn't need any plumbing drawings. Doesn't need any plumbing. Doesn't need any electricals, ECA, whatever.
ESA.
ESA. What's it called? And yeah, they don't need any plumbing. It's like normally.
Okay.
I've seen it maybe once in Toronto. They were pushing for it, but I was able to get them not to do it. Based on
this is standard practice for them here in Oshawa. They want to either see that, or they need to know which plumber and their license number that we're signing with to do the project.
So,
but for us who are still just budgeting everything out and want permits first, I don't want to pick a plumber yet until I know what they're going to allow me to do from the city. So, which
is odd because like now that I'm thinking about it, I think the only other time we've had a situation, and Tacos can probably going to correct me, I think we had it in Weldon for our triplex, fourplex conversions, where they were asking just for the plumber's name and info. That's it. We didn't have to really sign up with them. They just need some licensed plumber in Weldon just to get their name and info. That's it, period. Doesn't have to make any commitments whatsoever. Right. So other than that, this one is asking for the next level of information, which is like the skill trade
of Ontario.
Of Ontario number. Right. So they go deeper and deeper on that point, right?
So I got a couple quotes. I guess that's what's holding. You've done like everything. I didn't even know how much went into it, but I guess that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Trying to understand the process there, right? Because this is where some investors just they're confused on like the price to like work ratio, which again I'm trying to educate them. Like it's not just a basement drawing. We literally have to do everything, the whole house.
No, it's like you have to know like the rules of the game and pretty much like here's the plan to win the game kind of thing. Like here's all the codes or the bylaws and everything, and you have to know that. It's not just something we can just draw on an app and then submit it for permit.
Which investors have tried in the past and they've gone denied at permits, right? So it's it's a gamble at that point, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Right, because even with us, like I think when we first measured, you were still in closing phase, right?
Oh yeah, it was before we closed.
Before we closed, because that's the idea. So you make an offer, you're looking to close in like 60 days, and within those 60 days or whichever period you have, my team goes out there. We try and measure or scan nowadays, and try to develop the drawings before you get keys in hand. So by the time that you have keys in hand, we can submit it on the same day. Right. So you're not losing any time. Like you're literally not losing anything.
So I mean. I don't feel like I lost time because this is my primary residence, which I'm going to make a second unit in. I think I'm miles ahead of where I thought I'd be, though, in terms of like when I thought, how am I going to start investing in real estate? Watching some of these grow live streams or coming to some of these meetups or live events or even just with my day job being at the multifamily conference, trying to promote our products to real estate investors and like it was like I was an imposter because I don't actually know what real estate investors go through. I know our products, but now I actually see like, oh, that's why we sell this kind of flooring versus a regular click vinyl flooring. That's why we sell these kind of cabinets versus, you know, plywood cabinets that are going to last forever. Like, well, are they, or is that worth that much money? That's why we use these countertops. That's why, like, great, I've got that figured out. That's why contractors do things this way, and that's why you need to work with contractors that are used to doing like investment properties rather than someone that's used to doing a high-end home addition or like a custom home build, because they're going to look at things differently, they're going to approach it differently. And it's cool because now I feel like I learned this little piece, that little piece, this little piece, all here and there, and having people to lean on that are all in the field, in their respective fields that are related to being a first-time investor. I came in right here when anyone else that's just starting on their own is still, well, like, where do I start? I'm like, shit, I didn't even, all I did was like, okay, you want me to do this? I'll go do this. Oh, you tell me to call this person, like, hey, I don't know what this is, but I need to get it done.
Yeah, it's always good to kind of understand the process there from everyone. And again, that's what I mean. It's like
that's the only way you're going to learn it is
exactly
to start doing it.
We have to learn. Again, I tell people not to, like, you don't have to learn everything that everyone's doing.
No,
like the lawyers, the accountants, the contractors, designers.
But you don't know what you need. Like you don't know what you don't know. So like I didn't know you need to call a number 1-800 number to see what's buried in the ground before you start digging, because like, oh cool, yeah, I wanna put a side entrance here. Like I didn't know that you got to call this number first before you call the excavation company to come and do it. I thought they'd just take care of everything, which they can do for a price. Yeah.
Everything's up for a price, right?
Like, oh, I didn't know the company that's gonna upgrade the water service line from the city to my house to give us more water pressure. I didn't know that. Yeah, that company will take care of everything, but they're a plumbing company. They're subcontracting excavation company to come and dig out that water line and backfill it in later. That's two separate things that, like, oh, well, this guy can do just the labor on the plumbing and this guy can do just the labor on the digging, and those combined costs are way cheaper than having one company do the whole thing.
Yeah. It's just all about the matter of, like, if you know it or not, right? It's all about, the more educated you are in, like, doing these multifamily projects, right? It's like, the cheaper it becomes for you, because now you're not paying like the big bill of like 150,000 maybe now after everything you've learned, all the education you have. Now you're paying maybe 100,000.
And again, I don't even attribute it to what I've learned or the education. I attribute it to meeting all the people that are already doing it, or that have been doing it, or the people that are pros in their fields, and just being able to talk to you, because I wouldn't know that I need to talk to an architectural designer. I don't know that I would need to talk to you, you know, for example, I knew, like, okay, we're going to need a mortgage, but you're going to need someone to talk to you about, okay, how are you going to pull money out of your house now that you got a house to put it towards something else or put it towards upgrading the house. I didn't know, like, I had no idea how this works until I'm just thankful that, like, I'm in this community. I just happened to be a guy that knew how to use Discord or social media, and happened to meet you guys here or there and put it all together. And now it's like, okay, cool. I know exactly who to call when I need drawings done. I know exactly who to call when I need to look for a deal. I know who to call when I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for a deal, or maybe if I need someone to go in on a deal with me. I think I'm ready to do that because we have this community. So
no, it's always good to it's all about the people, honestly. Your net worth is your net worth, basically what it is, right? So it's good because now, instead of like trying to get a hold of some random person, you can contact somebody in the network right now to see, you know, who specializes in what and how they can help you with this problem.
The now I know better than when I was originally thinking how I'm going to get into it. I'm not going to call someone that does everything, because I'm going to call every little piece, and together I can just do it myself.
Yeah, and that's what's good about this real estate world, because everyone's like willing to help out.
Yeah,
I have so many contacts, like they can call me whenever, and they do, but I can do the same thing, right? If I have a quick question about mortgages or insurance or anything else, I'll just give them a quick call and they'll answer, right? And they'll be as truthful as possible, because the way this network works, or just any sort of real estate network is too, is that everyone's just trying to help out, right? They're not trying to do a sales pitch as best they can, not to do that. You know, if we work together, great. If we can't, like, here's what I would do in your shoes, right?
So what's, I guess, the next step for us on this project? We get that last piece, which is the plumber's information submitted, and then the city, you've addressed all their concerns on their first look through your drawings and everything. You've got the answers for everything. So what do you anticipate happening next?
Yeah, so let's say everything goes perfectly. They've accepted everything, and they have no other questions. We'll get the approved permits, and then from there, and we'll, you know, Talco and I just recently did this with another project. We go on site with the inspector. You know, we'll have the plans like printed out. We'll tell them like this is what's been approved. You know, if we have any sort of alterations, changes, or clarifications, we'll let them know. Right? Like, oh, I know it says this, but I actually want to do it this way instead. As long as you're being very transparent with them, they're understanding at that point. But at least at the very start of the inspection, they can see what the basement is looking like, right, and how you're planning to actually do the project itself, right?
Okay. Cool.
No, that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Like I said, I got the windows getting installed on Monday. Hopefully Monday I'll have the plumber answer for you too, so we can submit again and get these permits. And I think once we get underway with the reno, like if you want to have me on again, we'll chat and talk about the progress.
Yeah, I think the next one will be at your basement to discuss about, you know,
Yeah.
what was approved, what did we do, what kind of changes did we make, if there was any
definitely.
changes, right? So we can give people an understanding of how the layout looked before and after.
Cool.
Especially when you're working out, you know, when you're actually in construction, there's so much more layers that you need to learn.
Yeah, I'm down. Like if anyone in our community wants to even come by my place and take a look at the before or during, by all means, like and even offer your criticism or your feedback on what you would do, because this is my first time and I love to learn what I don't know.
It's always good to get somebody else's point of view to see like what you could have done better. Again, not to hurt anyone's feelings or whatever. It's just more just trying to learn what you can improve for the next project that makes it easier and maybe cheaper for you.
Or to learn from someone's mistakes, because I feel like I've skipped through a lot of mistakes I probably should have made, only because I've learned from everyone else telling me what they made a mistake on.
100%. Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
All right, sounds good, buddy. Well, thanks for chatting with me.
Finish these beers and
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thanks.
No problem.
See ya Instagram and see ya YouTube and what's up Discord. My first time actually being on camera on one of our live stages. I'm usually the one fixing all the technical stuff when it's not working.
Yeah, like what's going on with that whole Transformer voice now?
That's your phone, buddy.
No. I Taco had it. I think Jess had it this afternoon. I had it.
Good night.